Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to Peaceful Investing with Peter Akinola. Um, Peaceful Investing is a monthly webinar that I hold to review the past performance of different asset class in the market and also see what we can learn from the past performance and then looking at the opportunities ahead in the coming months and maximizing the opportunity. So we had January edition, we had February edition, we had March edition, and this is April edition. It can only get better as we move ahead. So this evening I'll be going through let's just say let me categorize them to four or five categories. I'll be starting with crypto, then I'll push into stocks, focusing majorly on Nigerian stocks. And I'm going to tell you why I'm focusing more on Nigerian stocks tonight. Why not US stocks? When I get there, let me not jump ahead of myself. When I get there, I'm going to explain why. And then from there, I'm going to get into fixed income assets that are basically for people with low or little, low or no risk appetite at all. You know, that's all of the options we have there. And then I'm going to end it with real estate. So basically, in less than 30 minutes, if possible, maximum 30 minutes, I want to quickly run through all of this. It's going to be value overload. At any point in time, you have a question, you have a clarification, you have a suggestion, anything you want to say, please use the message, the comment box. I'll be there waiting to hear from you. So let's get started. Let's get started. So tonight, I'm going to be looking into, like I said, I'm going to be starting with the best crypto to buy for April 2025. In the last few weeks, since the beginning of the year, since the inauguration of Donald Trump, seems like everything started coming down, and it is understandable because many of the current executive order that the presidency of Donald Trump is currently doing is putting pressure in different markets around the world, and then it is normal for market to react that way, both the crypto market and then the stock market. So yeah, in the last few days, S&P 500 lost around one point something trillion dollars. So it's a huge deal, but then it is not out of place. That's the best way to say. And then I remember when we were recommending coins to crypto to invest into in January, when the market was still bubbling. I said something around the fact that make sure you do not exceed the first 50, the first 100. Now, the reason for that is for risk management. And now, if you look at the market today, for coins that are at the top, a good number of them have lost 20%, 30%. Man, I mean, you can even look at 50% probably. But if you go down the market, 50, number 50 downward, some 100 downward, a good number of them have lost up to 90% of their value. So the idea is this: as the market keeps sinking, money leaves the new projects and the not so solid projects and comes into the so-called solid project. And that's why as market keeps getting deeper, Bitcoin dominance will keep increasing, and then of course Bitcoin will keep dipping as well, but then it is still a safe bet. Everybody knows Bitcoin is going to recover. Bitcoin has stood the test of time, and it is almost a risk of assets at the moment. And then with all of the conversations around strategic reserve, different countries, different hedge funds, I mean, fund managers sitting on trillions of dollars talking about allocations of funds into Bitcoin, pension funds, with all of those conversations around adoption and then investing into Bitcoin, it's easier for even a layman to say, I think I'm safe with Bitcoin. And that's why we have what we have today. So today I'm not going to be recommending any new coin, so to say. I'm still staying with the 5 coins. I know in the last few months I've recommended more than this, but then everything I've recommended are always revolving around these 5 coins. And the reason is what I just said to you. If market is going to recover today, and then altcoins going to start moving today. These are the first set of coins that would move, because these are the first. I mean, these guys have stood the test of time. Their tech is solid. There's nothing around them that would make any that will cause any fraud around them. So, and that's why, as much as it is a safe bet to a reasonable extent, it is also a good investment vehicle for good risk to reward. And then you would notice that I do not have Bitcoin on this list. Why? The reason for not having Bitcoin on this list is is clearly simple. Now, and I've explained this a little. Now, the best, if market is going to turn today, the best we can see, it will even take a miracle for Bitcoin to move from current price of 80 something dollar to $300. I mean to $300,000, to $250,000. That's at best 3x or so. It will take a huge, miracle, and then not just the miracle, it will take. Let's look at the current capitalization of Bitcoin together. Let's quickly look at that. CoinGecko, CoinGecko, CoinGecko. So look at this. So let me quickly CoinGecko.com. Okay, so I believe you can see my screen now. So look at this. Look at this. Look at the current capitalization is $1.6 trillion. So for this to do 2x, for this to double, for us to go from $83,000 to $166,000, we need to double this market capitalization. We need to go from 1.6 to 3.2, $3.3 trillion. Do you understand what that means? So we need a whopping sum of another 1.6 trillion to enter the market, and not just the market alone, to enter Bitcoin alone for us to do 100%. But come to think of it, if just 50% of that 1.6 enter into Ethereum, what are we likely to achieve? Look at this. Look at this. So what we currently have here is 22222 billion. So by the time you put, let's just say half of 1.6, which is 800, that's 4x already, just half. If you take that into XRP, half of that 1.6, that's going to XRP is going to do very well. It's going to do 8x, and then continue like that, like that, like that. Look at 64 billion. If you put, in fact, what we need is not even half of it. What we need is 10% of 1.6. 10% of 1.6, and then we will do so much. So basically, we are in this market to make money. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, or in any way maximalist or loyal to any project um, or any project in the market. We are here to make good money, you know, come into the market, deliver your profit, and leave. So basically, but if you have Bitcoin, am I saying you should sell? Please do not sell your Bitcoin if you have Bitcoin. Do not sell your Bitcoin if you have Bitcoin. I regret selling mine 2 years ago. Is it 2 years ago? I think so. 2 years ago, probably 2021 or so. So I regret selling all I have then. But then I'm not going to buy, and I don't intend to buy Bitcoin unless the miracle happen. What is the miracle? Probably will go down to 50,000, 30,000, possibly. If we get to that point, then it will take a lot of restriction for me not to be able to buy some, because I mean it is totally impossible, to see that price, to see market dump to that price and stay there. It is totally impossible to see it go there and stay there. So let me not take too much time on that. Let's continue the conversation tonight. Let's continue the conversation tonight. So I said the conversation around what we are investing into when it comes to the crypto market is still around the same set of coins I've been talking about since January. So why am I now talking about it again? Basically because I need you to do some cost averaging into them again. So what do I mean by cost averaging? If you had bought uh, if you had bought XRP at, let's say, let's say, okay, let me use my portfolio as an example. I bought XRP at zero point 0.3, that is 30 cents, bought it at 30 cents. Then I bought some at 3, uh, 3, $3 at the top of the market as well. So by the time you look at it, the average price for each token I have is not going to be um, lower than 30 cents, but it's not going to be as high as $30. So I'm saying, for example, you bought a token. Let me simplify this by saying you bought a token at 1 naira or $1 per token, and you bought 10, or let's say you bought 100. I mean, you spent $100 on that, and you have 100 units of the token, right? So if the market comes down and then you saw the same token at 50 cents, now half of the price, and you bought 100 again, I'm sure you are not going to spend $100 anymore. You are going to spend $50 to achieve the same unit of tokens you had bought earlier. So now you have 200 units of the token, but total amount you spent on it is $150. So to know what is the average cost of each token now, even though you bought one at 1 naira, you bought the other at 50 cents, I mean, bought one at $1, the other one at 50 cents. The average cost is now $1 plus 50 cents divided by 2, which is 15, which is $1.50 divided by 2, which is 75 cents. So the average cost of each of those tokens is now 75 cents. So you can see that the more the market gives you opportunity to buy at cheaper price, the more of such you take advantage of, the more you are reducing the average cost of the unit you are purchasing. And this work across all asset class, be it crypto, be it stock, be it any market, so to say. The more market gives you opportunity to buy cheaper, and the more you take the opportunity, the more you reduce the amount you spent on that asset class in the past, even if you had bought at the very top. And that is the wisdom. That's one of the wisdom behind the so-called dollar cost averaging, or cost averaging for short. So let's start with the Solana. So these are basic popular cryptos. If you go on YouTube and then type everything about Solana, you would watch enough video. On Google, you will read enough article. I mean, you would be satisfied. So let me not take time looking at all of that. These are the key features of Solana, and then let's get into the news. There's a bit of, I mean, Solana is always in the news for, of course, positive reasons. And then let's look at the chart. This is where I'm going before I move to the next one. So for the chart of Solana, see, you can see that the price is currently resting on a major support, a major support. So there's no better time to buy Solana than now, because we can. I mean, if market is going to turn to the upside, this is a good point for you to talk to turn. And then it still does not mean market is not going to break it. Market can break it. We look for a better support and we buy again. That's the idea. I keep saying one thing, that you secure your profit when you buy, not when you sell. There's a way you buy into an asset that it is impossible for you not to make profit. Totally impossible for you not to make profit. And then, but the idea behind that is this: when to buy into such an asset is the time most people are not willing to buy. It's the time most people are scared that this thing is going to is dangerous, is risky, is volatile, is going to zero. That is when to be greedy, because the market is fearful. I know you know that popular quote that when the market is fearful, you are greedy, and when the market is greedy, you are fearful. So there's no better time to buy into Solana than now. So if you have free cash flow, please pick up some units. So let me get into the next one, Cardano. Cardano is one of the oldest blockchain on the market and need no introduction. So you can go research more about it. So let's get into the chart. So you can see that Cardano also is sitting on a major support. So if there's and then you get has bounced back off this support a few times. It happened there. This one is even a major rejection. Happened there, happened there, happened there. So now the truth is, if market is going to return, it's going to change direction. There's no better place to do it than here. So let's get into the next introduction. Ethereum is the mother of Bitcoin, is the father, Ethereum is the mother. The whole cryptocurrency ecosystem sits on Ethereum. So Ethereum needs no introduction. But Ethereum I mean, has been disappointing of late, for lack of better word, has been very disappointing of late. When other coins were even taking out their all-time high in January, Ethereum did not even move close to the all-time high. This was the all-time high before January, around $4, 4,000 plus. Now you can see that Ethereum barely crossed 4,000.